So thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our MSD presentation. Now, before we get to the main topic of the presentation, I would like to shortly introduce our small team that is taking care of the students programs that we have. So myself on the right, my name is Clara. I'm an intern in the early talent engagement team. We also have Eliška here on the call, and Eliška is the early talent engagement specialist. And then we have our lead of the team for both of our students programs, Radia. Radka Kerion is not unfortunately here because she had some other meetings. However, if you ever decide to apply for any part-time position or our ETR position, which I will talk about shortly, there is a 100% possibility that you will meet one of us in your interviews or during the process. Can I ask for the next slide, please? Yep, so this is our first program, the internship program. This one is for college students only, which means we are employing students here into this program. We are looking for students that are into math, statistics, information technologies, basically anything related to IT. We also do have a financial department and human health department, but I'm not going to elaborate on that too much as we are currently speaking to students of maths and physics. So yeah, this is our students program. We're looking for students that are into IT, that have a decent English, because we are originally an American company. Our official language of the company is English. So that is something that you would need. Also, what we offer to the students is a contract for part-time, which is 80 hours per month. We have around 80 students working here in this program right now, and we also offer them different benefits. As you can see on the left side of the presentation, we offer meal vouchers and multi-sport cards, but we also create a development program for the students. So we're mainly looking for a long-term cooperation with talented students that would like to kickstart their career with us. So if you would be interested in applying for any of these positions or checking out which positions are available right now, feel free to visit our website. It's msd.cz. And the only thing you have to do is click join us, and then through a filter, just filter out part-time positions and internships, and then you will be able to see all the positions that are available. So look for them on our website. We are updating them sometimes once a month, sometimes once a week, depending on the demand from managers. Okay, next slide, please. And this is our second program, which is the ETR program, rotational program for graduates. This is for fresh graduates. So if you're graduating this year or next year from your master's or your bachelor's this year, then every year we have one recruitment process. It always starts at the end of January, and it's basically a 2-year rotational program where you would be able to rotate in 3 different positions. It's basically a full-time position, but you would be rotating. It's for a limited amount of graduates, and you can apply even max to 2 years after your most recent graduation. And basically in this program, you would get to try out different full-time positions in the IT area. And after those 2 years, we would help you find your final placement. So your, let's say, final position that you would start working on further on. So yeah, this is another program that you would find on our website. So feel free to check it out. And if you would have any questions further on, I'm sure there will be a space for questions at the end of this presentation. So that's it from my side for the programs, and I'm now gonna give my word to Zach.
Thanks. So hey everybody, I'm Zach Pinner. I've been working at the company, MSD, for 8 years now. I actually joined the company in that ETR, Emerging Talent Rotation Program, that we were just talking about, and we'll definitely have time at the end for questions if you'd like to ask more about that. And that program enabled me to jump around to a bunch of different positions. So I started off at the company as a developer. And I came in straight from university. So it was the same thing back then. I graduated with associates in video game development, and then I switched over to more broadly information technology and informatics. And I've worked in New Jersey for the first few years. Then I was over in Prague for a couple of years. Then I went to Austin, Texas, and now I'm back in Prague. And the role on my team is as a squad leader for the foundational automation team. And that essentially just means I'm leading a squad or a team of developers and analysts. And Lukáš and I will be talking to you from the same general technology area, but we do come at from a couple different perspectives. So my group has been focusing on working on building intelligent automation projects for our business-facing teams, for like the scientists, manufacturing groups, the animal health area, etc. So that's me.
Okay, I will continue with myself. So still morning, everyone. My name is Lukáš Jindra. I am with MSD for 3 years. Before I joined MSD, after university, I worked for Deloitte for 4 years. My role is associate director in intelligent automation team. As Zach mentioned, we kind of split our responsibilities. So my team is mostly focused on automations within global support function space, which is for you finance, HR, IT, procurement, tax, and facilities. My team is based in Prague and consists out of many developers, not just for RPA, but also other technologies that we will hear during the presentation. And actually, we were the first one in MSD that established the internal automation capability those 3 years ago when I started. And I think that right now we can move to the actual presentation. So back to Zach.
Thanks, Lukáš. So before we dig straight into the intelligent automation and what all that encompasses, I wanted to first take a step back and talk about how what we're doing with intelligent automation is it's a big shift in the way that we're working with technology. Obviously, we started off with steam and water power, mechanical, going into assembly lines, electrical power, and getting the original robots in different manufacturing chains and other forms of technology. But what we're focusing on now isn't necessarily a single technology. It's a full spectrum of technologies, and it's trying to make the Internet of Things and machine learning and getting everything more smart. Essentially, we're trying to not only have the equipment there and the connections everywhere, but also just have some kind of additional intelligence added into these machines. And what you'll see on this slide is the intelligent automation spectrum, which is what we are specifically focusing on. The side on the left, the process automation side, is where the key focus is for our team. This is the foundation for all of intelligent automation. We do have teams in MSD that are working across this entire spectrum. But today we'll primarily focus on that first section. We do have some of our automations building with natural language processing and moving up the spectrum a little bit. But the primary work that we're doing is about process automation, looking at work inside of the company that we can automate. And to take another look specifically at why we're even automating, how do we get people in the company to be interested in automating? Because a lot of times there is a little bit of hesitancy. People are concerned, are you going to automate my job away? We're talking a lot about how we can leverage these bots, as we call them, to take away work that people don't necessarily want to do. So if you're having to do a lot of repetitive tasks and you don't get too much time for analysis, this is where we're reaching out to different people in the company and different teams and groups and saying and asking for ideas and what are parts of their jobs that they would prefer not to do. Because the real intent with what we're doing with automating is trying to unlock time to enable people to work. So this is where you get people more excited about working with our team, as opposed to that hesitancy and being a bit scared when they hear about the automation word. So the first on that spectrum, the one that we are most primarily working with is robotic process automation, so RPA. It's a little bit different than the classic type of automation that you might think of. So classic automation, you might think of working with APIs on the back end of a platform or using scripts, batch scripts to try and do something. But RPA is really interesting because it can actually emulate a person on the front end of a computer. All these images on the right, logging into applications, extracting data, doing calculations. RPA is able to do all of those things. It can also do the back-end work connected to APIs, but the really cool thing when we're trying to explain how it works to the business is you can actually emulate a human. So something that we don't really do when we're programming it, because it's not the best way to build for scalability, but to give you an idea of what you can do with RPA. If you're using a tool and you want to automate something that you do day to day, let's say just opening up a browser, going to a bunch of your main sites as your tabs, and that's just something you want a bot to do because it's really easy. You just would usually click a few times. You could actually turn on the program, tell it to record, and you can manually go and click on the browser, open up all the tabs to the right locations, and stop recording. And then that has now created a bot that will carry out those exact same actions. Now, the reason why I say we don't really program that way is because if you then moved the icon for your browser around on the screen, you've now broken the automation. So there are a lot more intelligent ways that we can program with RPA, but really the intent, what I'll get across here, is that RPA it's a really exciting technology. It hasn't been around too long, but we've been growing it rapidly, and it's been growing rapidly across the whole industry.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. So I will take it from here. As you see, I think 2 or 3 slides ago on the Zach's chart, the OCR is kind of a next step. The OCR stands for optical character recognition. And this is a technology that is allowing us to read from unstructured or printed documents. What does it mean that we in the company have tons of the documents flying around with the results from the clinical trials? We have tons of purchase orders and invoices around here, and there is tons of the people that are going through those and trying to extract important data and put them in a structured way in some dedicated system. This technology is actually allowing us to read those data and translate them in a structured way, the way that those data after that can be used and can be leveraged by people or by the robot. We started with this technology, let's say, a year ago internally. And this technology is helping us actually to automate and to digitalize as much as we can, because as all the companies, we want to try to go digital as much as possible and to try to avoid the paperwork for multiple reasons, obviously, which is one of them. The basic one is just to save the paper and save the trees. The other reasons are to save the people's time, because it's probably not your dream job just to scroll through the paper and rewrite the information from place A to place B. So this is the reason why we are heavily investing in this one. And there is a lot of use cases, not just within our company, but all across the spectrum. Zach, can we go for next one? Perfect. So process mining. So this is something slightly different, but very important. So the process mining is actually a discipline that is helping you to understand the actual process. So before you automate something, that's actually the first step you should take, is to understand your process. And you can do it from multiple perspectives. So you can work with the subject matter experts on that process, or with the analysts or the people that are actually doing the process manually, and gather information from them. But the problem is, as the people are doing the process every day, they usually forget the important steps. The things are so natural to them that they skip some parts. So then if you automate something for them, in the end you realize that you are missing some crucial components of the process. Process mining as itself is like a technology or a tool that's allowing us to connect to the data and see from the data how the actual process looks like. You can see very good example at the bottom, because as I mentioned, people usually forget the thing. So if you talk to the people, they usually describe the process as it's in the left. So you get some request and you process through a couple of stages, which is like the main the main line that you can see going from the top to bottom, with just a couple of exceptions on the sides, exactly this one. But if we look at the data, it usually looks like on the right side, and usually even worse, because there is a lot of deviations, there is a lot of exceptions, there is a lot of specific thing. And before we automate, our goal is usually to standardize the process, to understand the deviations and the exceptions, to understand how often they are happening, what is the impact of them, and if really those deviations are necessary, or we first need to streamline the process and make sure that what we are going to automate is global, it makes sense, and majority of the people can follow it, because then even the impact of the automation will be higher, because it will affect more people and not just the ones that are following the same process. So this is a really big step before you do any kind of digitalization or automation. Before you take any of those steps that Zach showed on the chart, you first need to understand your process. And as a good example, for example, is the Celonis, which is a company based in Germany and which we are leveraging, that can, for example, connect to the SAP, and then from the logs and from the user IDs, you can actually track what the people are doing. It doesn't mean that we are going to track that they spend some time on the internet or sending emails, but within that specific applications, what transaction they are using, what they are clicking, what they are doing, how long does it take. So this is also for you to understand what will be the benefit of the process, because it can give you an idea how long or how much time the person is spending on the task daily and how painful is that for them. And obviously, this is usually feeding then our prioritization matrix, which is telling us which processes are the most painful for the company and for the people, and which we should tackle first, because we have tons of opportunities for digitalization, not just our company. I believe that's across the whole market. And it's important for us to select the right ones. Sometimes it's called the low-hanging tree. So the things that are having a huge benefit, but are probably not that complex. So this is a big thing for us and very important before you think about any type of digitalization. And I believe that right now we will switch to the actual projects and examples. Oh, sorry, no, I skipped one slide. So as Zach mentioned, he talked a bit about RPA, and as the RPA is our like a main component, our backbone, we wanted to talk with you a bit more about the actual platform or actual technology that we are using. On the market, you have, I believe, 20 or 30 plus like RPA vendors. There are three big ones, UiPath, Blue Prism, and Automation Anywhere. The big three players, I think they are taking like 90% of the market, where UiPath, and that's the one that we are using in our company, it's probably the biggest of them with like 30 or 40% of the market share. This software, as Zach mentioned, is allowing us to replicate the human's work and to reduce the task that doesn't involve any intelligence in them, and give people more time to focus on more important things. This actual software consists of three important things, and it's Studio, Robot, and the Orchestrator. The Studio, it's a place where you actually develop your code. You can see screenshot from it on the right top side. It works the way that you have a kind of bunch of libraries that's allowing you to use the predefined components that can help you to, I don't know, click on the buttons, navigate on the screens, go on the web page, I don't know, insert some data in some input fields and other things. But what you can also do, you can build those libraries on your own. So this application is .NET based, so you can build those components in .NET. Recently, they are allowing to building those components also in Python and I think VB as well. Another important component is the actual robot. Robot is actually the place where the process is running. It's important because, as Zach mentioned, the process, not all the time, but much of the time, is also interacting with the actual user interface. Then the robot needs to have like a dedicated place where to run. It cannot run in the backend. It needs to run on the specific server, and it's utilizing actually the same applications in a very similar way as the person would utilize them. How to translate this thing? So if the person needs to open the browser, log into some web page, download the data, save the data on some shared drive, transform the data, and then send it via email, robot is actually doing the same. So if you are talking about the browser, you really need to open the browser, you really need to insert the URL, you really need to log into application, get the data. On the other hand, we can also leverage some backend techniques. That means that if we are going to send an email, we are going to use an exchange to send an email. We are not going to go into Outlook and click it. That's why we try to call ourselves not just RPA, because in RPA, you would really go into Outlook and click, but intelligent automation, because in this space, we are trying to leverage the APIs and other techniques and using the usual RPA just for the places where there is no native interaction with the application and when we really need to go into the interface. Because as Zach mentioned, the bad thing about RPA is that it's pretty unstable. As you change the things in the interface or you create a new release of the application, the things may change and it can break your automation. So this is about the robot, where it runs. Actually, it's actually the server. And the last part is the orchestrator. Orchestrator is kind of the piece where your automation or your code meets the robot. That means you are able to push there your code. It can serve as a code repository, similar to Git or Bitbucket, if you know, and you connect your robot there. So you can see the processes or the codes that you can run, and you can see kind of available servers where you can run it. And you can just simply connect those things. It's also collecting tons of the logs. So then you can look at your data. You can see how your automation is doing, what's your success rate. You can see how many things you're processed and other important metrics. And I think that's it about the UiPath platform itself. And right now, I believe we can go to the actual projects.
Awesome. Yeah, so to share some specific use cases and examples of where we've been using RPA and some of the other types of intelligent automation technologies, we have a few set up just to share this first one to talk about first what the state was before we automated it, was that you have people all over the world, because MSD is a global company, who are using our products. And they would call a call center if they have any kind of feedback. And this person at the call center isn't associated with any specific division in the company to be able to easily route all of the data. So they have to take notes as best they can, and then they route all of the feedback they've received to the next person in line, who then tries to organize all of that data and then send it to the next team to try and again organize it, and it trickles down over time to get to the team that can actually action and do something about all of the feedback they've been receiving. So we wanted to take this and figure out a way to automate it so that the people who could actually take action and this feedback would impact can get that feedback faster. So there is still the case where the person is calling that call center, but instead of the call center routing the information to another team to start reading through it, it routes it to a bot. And this bot uses natural language processing to essentially read all of the feedback and categorize based on two different things. So one is the product. So what is the drug or vaccine? What is this person asking about? Or is it more about something about financials? Is there basically just trying to figure out what's the category, what's the product? And then in addition, it's trying to do a subcategory to get to the right team, because knowing just the product isn't enough. That would skip a couple levels of this trickle down process, but then also having additional context that can help get the sub team that can actually take action. So this bot's been in production. It runs whenever the business wants it to run. They have their customer feedback data. They put it into a folder on their online folder, and they send an email to the bot to say, hey, run my process. The bot will go into that folder. It'll take all of that feedback and process it, and then it gives the output of what the categories are, what are the products, and then they can pass it on and do that appropriately. So that's this use case.
Awesome. I'm going to talk about the use case from the finance, which is in the end not just about finance. It's about processing of the purchase orders. The purchase order is the thing that we are getting from clinics and the hospitals. They want to order our products. This process is very much focused on fast processing of that purchase order and putting the information into our ERP system, which is SAP. the importance of this one is that we have pretty strict SLAs because we want to deliver our products to our customers as soon as possible, because those products are helping people and saving lives. So it's very important to have them there as soon as possible. So to process the information that we get from the client in a very fast way, it's our goal number one. The trick here is that not all of the customers can send you the purchase order in a digital way. There are still customers that are sending you purchase orders as like in a printed form via email. They are going to fax it to you. They are going to send you via post in some very weird cases. So what it's done that all those requests are moved in the PDF form, actually in the Outlook mailbox. As you can see in the chart, that's the first step, the Outlook mailbox. Then we have actually a robot that is checking that the mailbox dedicated for this one in the Outlook and looking if we are getting those purchase orders. It's also looking at the actual purchase orders to be able to classify it if it's really purchase order or someone sent it to the wrong address or someone scanned a wrong thing and it's something completely different. If it's something completely different, it moves it to the exceptions, and there are like people manually going through this exception folder looking if the robot did evaluation correctly, because nothing is 100% perfect, and we need to make sure that if it's not a purchase order, we get back to the requester asking like, what do you want from us, or what was the request? Or if the robot misjudged and he put in the exception folder the actual purchase order, we need to immediately push it back. If the robot recognizes that it's actually a purchase order, it's feeding the OCR system. The OCR system here is to do multiple things. So it's first to read the information from the actual purchase order. So what do they want to purchase? Also, it's comparing the actual information with the master data. That means that not every customer can order every product. So it needs to make sure that the product that the company is the hospital or the clinic is requesting, they can actually order from us. And if they have enough space or enough money open in our bill to order those products, like the whole order. So it's trying, and also it's kind of verifying all the information about the customer, the address, the accounts, all the IDs. So this OCR engine is verifying all the information. There is a very important thing in this OCR engine, because as you probably know from like artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those kind of things are not every time 100% sure. So if this engine is not sure that it recognized the right customer, it recognized the right product or other components of the purchase order, it has something that's called verification station. Verification station is the place for business where they would be able to see the extracted data, and it highlight for them in red or orange based on how confident it is, the actual information that it's not sure, and the person can manually adjust the information and then submit it, and it will go back like into the process. Very good thing about this one is also the machine learning parts. What it means is that, for example, you have trained on this one on multiple examples of purchase orders. Then you will get a new type of purchase orders. That means that your customer changed the format of the purchase order, and right now the total amount is not in the right bottom corner, it's in the left bottom corner. And maybe the whole OCR engine is not sure about this new form, so it will pop up in the verification station, and the person can manually adjust the information lies in the different area and is connected to different things, and the actual OCR engine is able to recognize those information. So if you get the same type of purchase order next time, it will recognize it immediately and it will process it without human interaction. How it helps business, this one, is that when we started with this project, we had only like 30% of the purchase orders going through the OCR engine without no human interaction, and 70% of them needed a human touch. That means that human needed to confirm something or make sure that the engine recognized it successfully. Today, we have 94% going through it automatically and just 6% with the human touch. If you recalculate it on the people's work, it means originally it was 15 people working on this one across 4 countries. Right now, we have just 3 people working on this one across 3 countries. After the things are recognized, the things are exported in the CSV form, in the form that another robot can pick it up and push the information inside the SAP. Here is another different thing from the RPA. Usually if we interact with the SAP, we go as the person through the interface. So we log in into the SAP, which is ERP system, and we insert the data. In this case, we partnered with EDI Liaison, which is a company that's providing emulator for the SAP that is actually able to feed the information inside the backend, which is way more stable than going through the interface. So the robot is just passing the information from the OCR engine, which is ABI, to the EDI Liaison and pushing it into the backend of the SAP. And then there is the last robot, which is just getting the confirmation and moving the original request from the inbox input folder to the processed folder. So as you can see, we are not having just, let's say, the RPA, specific RPA automations, but we are trying to leverage as many technologies as we can to serve our businesses as much as possible and to deliver the value. The actual impact is that we processed over 200,000 purchase orders in 2 years. And from data that we are getting, we are saving 4 FTEs, but as I mentioned, it affected 9 people. So 9 people can leave this job and can focus on something more important and different. Okay, that's it. Back to Zach, to you.
Thanks, Lukáš. So for this use case, we're going to jump over into the animal health division. And our this one is about a group that was over in the States, and a part of our animal health division also has a call center, but they are receiving a very different type of request. So they are receiving information about lost pets, and someone who it's a shelter who calls out and is trying to find details about pet owners, and there wasn't a really efficient way to get this data and give it back to them. And actually, when receiving this requests, it was all being done by pen and paper. So people were filling out all the data about this pet, then they were trying to go through all of the online systems of pet owners, trying to aggregate all that data together, and then send it back over to that company. Specifically, this one is over in Dallas, Texas. That was the pet shelter that we worked with to implement this automation. And what this automation did is it's 2 things. So as Lukáš was talking about earlier with the process mining, it's really important that we understand a process before we implement it. So with this automation, we didn't actually just need to understand the process. We actually had to make it more efficient before we automated it. So since they were doing all of the data ingestion as pen and paper, we can't automate with that unless we want to do, as you saw in the last use case, that we're using OCR to try and read the text. But because it's not a standard document that you can read the same every time, it was something that people were writing with pen and paper, and it's a lot more complicated for a bot to understand. We had to work with them to first implement basically just using an online form instead of using the pen and paper. Then we were able to implement the automations. And now I believe it's about 15 pets a day is what we're being asked to try and locate, and we're helping get the pets back to their owners. So this was a really fun use case to work on because it's a little bit, we were more connected directly to the people that it was helping. And then we also got to see the immediate impact, because sometimes when you're over on the computer side of things, you don't necessarily get to see the benefit and the impact that you're doing. And that's one of the other really cool things about RPA, because you're really seeing exactly, you're helping the people directly because you have to understand their process. So we didn't only help these people who were trying to intake the information about lost pets, but we were also helping the people get their pets back. So that was really cool. And then back over to you, Lukáš.
Awesome. Right now I have slightly different case. The whole solution is let's say very much less complex than the others, but the process is very important. It's not saving actually that much time, but it's very important from the way that our company, the base goal of our company is to save and improve the lives. But when we go into HR and the hiring process, our goal is to treat all the candidates equally. And it's very important to do it even through our postings. So this process is about looking at the job inclusion score. That means that all of our jobs that are actually posted online has to go through this health check to see if we are not discriminating any people, and we are treating all the candidates in the equal way. So what this automation is actually doing, whenever the workday is our internal system where we insert the initial job description. So this automation goes into workday and looks for the new job IDs. It takes the job IDs and job descriptions, obviously. It takes the job description, and we are collaborating with company called Applied, and if you feed this job description to their tool, they are able to give you back a score, and the score is telling you how let's say how good or how equally is your job posting treating all the potential candidates. And it's very important for us to make sure that all the job postings are respectful to everyone. Then it's taking back the score, it's feeding the database where it's keeping the information and sending a report to the people or to the HR team taking care about the job requests. After that, they can review the scores, they can go back to the original requester of the job or to the HR business partner or to the recruiter. And in case there is a change needed, they can actually change the job description so it's not going to discriminate anyone. And there are, let's say, almost no financial benefits of this one, but the biggest benefits are the quality. So it's providing us a data and insight if we are doing the right job, efficiency, and reporting. Okay, that's it for this one. So maybe I believe, Zavki, you have the last one.
Yeah, so one more use case before we open it up to questions. So this one is jumping over into the manufacturing side of things, because we have manufacturing sites all over the world, and we wanted to see how can we use RPA and other types of automation with them. And the use case that they came back with, and this is one that was again over in the States on the East Coast, that they have an issue on their manufacturing site with the consistent supply of their safety stock. So they have the way that creating the products and drugs and stuff that we push out, there's multiple phases to it. And the very first phase is having a variety of materials that you need to put together different I guess bigger materials, or it's not quite the finished product yet, but it's just putting together the ingredients, and having those materials on stock all the time was actually having some issues at this certain site. And what they were doing from the manual perspective is that it was somebody's job every other week to go into the system, SAP, and check out what was the current safety stock level and what was the desired safety stock level. And if it was low, they would then create a process order, and they would need to print that out for somebody on the manufacturing site to get that printed paper, the process order, and they would basically use that paper as their ticket to then go and create that material, because it was the very first set of materials in this full chain of creating the products. And it wasn't their main job. It's something they're only doing every other week. It's a quick check, and everybody's responsible for a different scope of materials. And what we decided to do, what they were asking, was to implement an automation that would check every day at the same time if the safety stock level of any materials is below what their desired level is. It's going to go ahead and do the exact same thing of creating a process order, releasing that process order, and printing out that ticket. This way, where instead of, let's say, the safety stock level, they feel comfortable with 8 materials in the safety area. If it's down over 2 weeks, it gets down to 2, then the person will be releasing 6. Instead, anytime it's 7, the bot's just going to go ahead and order another one so that we're never below that limit. And this actually had much larger financial savings than we had expected, because you can imagine that the manufacturing sites are constantly working. They have 24/7. There are no holidays. There's no weekends for a manufacturing site. Everyone's working on shifts. So if you ever run out of any of those materials, it's impacting the entire supply chain. Because then you're basically having idle time, is what we call it, when you have people who don't have what they need, so they can't create the next product, so that slows down the next, and that's going to be a ripple effect that impacts the entire supply chain. So at the end of the year, you're not going to have as many products released as you intended, which is bad from both, obviously, the financial perspective for a company, but also people are relying on these products. So if there's ever anything in the supply chain that gets slowed down, that's really bad for the people who are affected. But yeah, this automation has been implemented since late last year, and it's been consistently working. And the teams are all really happy, and it's been creating the new safety stock every day. Well, whenever it needs to, but it's been checking the safety stock every day. But those are the use cases that we wanted to share, and that's the intelligent automation spectrum that Lukáš and I have been working with at MSD. If you have any questions about the technologies, about the use cases, about the rotation programs, the internship program, now's the time to ask. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, guys, do you have any questions for us? For Lukáš or for Zach or for me or Clara? Just feel free to ask. Now it's the time. Okay, I think that if it's possible, Carolina, can we get the contact for students, and we can send the presentation and also the link to our website to all of the students?
Sure. It's not a problem, because we were counting on it, as well as we will promote this video from today. So we will send both. Just if you want, we can also openly share the presentation from today if you're interested in it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it's everything from our side. Thank you very much for your attention, and thank you guys for the presentation. We will send you the presentation and also our contacts and the link for the all open position. So just feel free to apply to any open position, and hopefully we will meet during the interview for internship or for the ETR program.
I think it just maybe we can address just our participants. Maybe Harold, would you have any question on MSD if you are still looking for a job around in Czech Republic?
Hi, Carolina.
Hi.
Yeah, I just sent a message to Clara, I believe, so she clarified what is the situation. Program. I think it's going to be open in next January. So, but I guess if I want to apply for any jobs, I should go to the website and look any open positions.
I think Adele, if you have any to add to this presentation.
I just want to thank for this presentation. It was really interesting, and I'm already in touch with MSD, and I tried to apply for some positions, so I will be trying again.
So maybe it's good for Eliška just to know that Adele is on the list, and she also took part today.
Yeah, actually we met during the interviews for ETR position this year.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and then we have Jana. I think Jana is mathematician, so she was more interested in data science, and because she would really prefer to stick with math. It's not about programming; it's more about data science.
And actually, right now we have, I think, 2 open positions for data science department, and we will open 1 more. So, Jana, if you are interested in data science field, just feel free to check the website, and there is the data scientist position open, and I think it can be interesting for you.
Okay, thank you. I will check it. Thank you very much.
Maybe Eliška, if you want to, just I can send you Jana's CV because we are working on it also together, so it will be maybe also direct.
Actually, I think for us it's better to have Jana.
Frozen.
Jana in our systems,
Okay.
and Jana to check the the position as well. But we have, I think that we have a couple of students from Matfis working in our data science team. So we know that students from Matfis are strong candidates.
Jana is from Technical University, but it doesn't matter, I think, but she also studied mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am sorry, my internet died for a second. You were talking about my CV, and what did you say?
Actually, I just said that it's better if you can apply via our website to have all the CVs, and due to GDPR, it's better to have it in the system.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if we do just we run out of the questions. Anyway, I would like to thank to Lukáš and Zach for the presentation. Finally, I a little bit more understand what MSD means and how it runs, what's behind the scene. It's good to have the opportunity. So I'm happy that maybe I will go through it once again. Anyway, thank you all for today, for the preparation, for being ready and be part of our event, and hope just to continue on cooperation also for the next days and months. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.